I'm back. So, in relation to the male alopecia client last night, I know it's mostly women are following my page here, but it's up to you to protect and help our men. It's very few men would actually come onto a page like mine. And I just want you to sort of get the message out there that there is help for men who have sudden onset male alopecia. Case in point would be the chap last night. So he is, just to give you a very brief background, initially I had said he was a very private man, but last night he said, I don't care. So he's a man in his 40s, works in a very physical and outdoor job, and he had noticed last year that his head hair started to recede. So his dad had actually had early onset baldness as well, so he just kind of thought that it was just part and parcel of the genetics that he'd been dished with. But he noticed that his sideburns and his beard started to get patchy as well, and then his eyelashes started to fall out, and his body hair. So he went to a doctor, and he was diagnosed with alopecia areata, which is a slow onset and can be a bit patchy, and sometimes the hair can grow back, and sometimes it grows back and then it falls out again, and so on and so forth. So he always, from his head point of view, always had a tight haircut anyway, but it's when his eyelashes and his eyebrows went. He used to have very hairy, very bushy eyebrows, very thick eyebrows, and very unruly eyebrows. And he said that was one of the things, plus his sideburns, and then his beard started to go. So he was able to handle the fact that it was in his head, because he thought that's what he had been dished with genetically. It was when his eyebrows, eyelashes, his sideburns, and his beard and body hair started to go, it's when he actually went, oh gosh, I don't like this very much. So he had a very understanding and very proactive wife. Here is why I want to commend her for looking after her man, is that when she got in touch with me, it was to restore eyebrows in him. That was the first thing. But she also did the research in relation to getting the dotting tattoo on his scalp, whereby he kept his hair very short. So what he had left on his head was very short. And then they researched a tattooist in Dublin to do this incredible dotting technique, so professional and so fabulous. I'll show you a photograph in a minute, whereby in conjunction with the eyebrows, the dotting was being done at the same time. So he was heading to Dublin to have his dotting done. He was coming to me. So when he came initially, the poor guy, the first treatment was just before COVID lockdown. And then I didn't see him for nearly 5 months. So I had to repeat the whole first step all over again. Men feel pain a bit more than women, so we do take it very slowly, and we get it as comfortable for him as possible. We had little tricks, and I'm not going to fully divulge about those, but it is it's only because I am in the nursing, in the medical world, that I can actually make him as comfortable as is possible. When he had the dots done on his head, he said that was just like practically, he used the word intolerable, but I would imagine that it was, because every little dot brought its own sting of pain. But it was, he said it was well worth it. I think he had about 8 or 10 hours of the dotting on his head. I'm going to show you the photograph here of his head. That hurt. But he said having his eyebrows done with me was nothing. Anyway, but nothing in comparison to the dots in his head. So, so here's the deal. I have done several men's eyebrows for alopecia in the past, and we become very acquainted, because alopecia clients don't hold the pigment as well as anybody else would. So it's very important that you build up a proper relationship with your client. But here's why this treatment for alopecia for him worked so well and was different to other male alopecia clients that I've worked with before, is because he had the dotting done at the same time. So in that time frame of 3 or 4 months, he was, you know, tricking up to Dublin to have the dotting done, and I was doing the eyebrows down here. And the transition wasn't, let's do the eyebrows and then have, you know, huge baldness here in the head. So the eyebrows in that instance then wouldn't have stood out. So because he had both done in tandem, he looked like he almost did. Now we laughed last night because he had said that he thought that nobody really noticed that he was having the work done. We used to do it on a Thursday evening. He used to sort of have a bit of downtime on Friday, off Saturday, Sunday, and back to work on Monday. Nobody noticed, at least or so he thought. But somebody had been watching him very closely, and it was somebody who was actually suffering from male pattern baldness himself, and is now a client of mine as a result. So he is now going down the road of having his eyebrows enhanced and restored, and he's also gone down the road of having the dotting done. The dotting is just the icing on the cake. Anyway, the bottom line is this man skipped out of my clinic last night. So happy. When I saw the release of tension, when he came to me before Christmas, and it took him quite a few months to actually decide to go ahead. When I met him before Christmas, he was so stressed and distressed about such a young man to have this happen to him. There's help available, and his wife took the impetus to do the research, and we're so delighted to be part and parcel of his journey. So yes, here he is now. I'm just going to put a photograph of him here. So happy. He looked 10 years younger. He looked like somebody in his mid-30s. But it was the confidence level was incredible. And when he left, he said, Olive, thank you so much. And I really mean that. So that to me was the equivalent of the hugs that we can't give people anymore. Oh my God, I used to love giving clients a hug when they left. Now we're just, you know, touching the weenus. I didn't realize that this was called the weenus. Now we're just touching weenuses and weenuses, and I mean that so much. Those words from him last night were my gold, really, to be part of his journey. So yeah, there you go. We need to mind our men, because even though they don't say it or show it, their appearance matters a lot to them as well. So there's help available. There really is.